Some voices are meant to be heard, and some should never be answered. Welcome to the Whisper Vault, where shadows speak and the dead still have stories to tell. Here you'll find true ghost encounters, haunted locations, and chilling legends whispered through the ages. Every tale is real, or at least someone swears it is. The question is, do you believe them? Step inside the vault, but be warned, the whispers have a way of following you home. While I was doing the research on the man with the long fingers that seems to enter people's dreams when they're at a young age, I also started to come across stories of mimics. They are quite popular on TikTok right now. There's many stories about them. Some say it's a spirit, others are calling them demons, but the truth is, nobody really knows. What we do know is that it mimics you or copies you, or someone you love, down to the smallest detail. The voice, the footsteps, even the way they say your name, and all of it just to be let in. Mimics seem to have a tell. The voice is almost right, but not quite. Just a touch lower in pitch and a little bit quieter. You'll be going around your day, your mind is somewhere else, and then you hear it, your name. It sounds like your partner, your friend, your mother, but something feels off. You perk up and your heart beats a little bit faster. Before you know it, you're walking toward the sound, except nobody is there. Some people have said they've heard them outside when they're walking alone at night, usually near the woods. A voice will call out to them from the shadows, friendly and familiar, but when you keep moving and the woods are behind you, the voice stops, as if the trees themselves are hiding something that you weren't meant to see, and sometimes the voice is your own. I was a nurse for a really long time, and throughout my career, I heard and saw things that I could not explain. But one story told by another nurse made me wonder if a mimic had somehow been attached to it, or if it was attached to one of our residents or somebody had brought it into the building. The story was one night that things were happening all around this building at a fast rate, and these things were happening on opposite ends of the building. This building was very large, with one main floor and a basement that was no longer used. It was a 52-room building with large kitchen areas, large activity areas, a lot of space to really be able to separate people if you wanted to. On the night shift, there was only 2 staff in the building. Typically on rounds, everybody went together, mostly because nights are scary and nobody wanted to be alone. Things kept happening that night. A person's call bell would go off at one end of the building, and at the same time, another call bell would go off on the other end, separating the 2 staff. They would hear things that made them wonder if a resident was up, and when they went to investigate this noise, there was nobody there. The nurse that was telling this story explained that she, at one time, had heard something fall in the far hallway, but they were right in the middle of helping someone that needed help to the washroom, and this person couldn't be left alone, so again they were separated. The nurse ran down the hallway to see what had fallen, and it was a coffee cup laying in the middle of the floor right near the back exit. These exits had alarms, but not always everything works in these old buildings. So she went outside to make sure nobody had exited. She took the coffee cup with her. These doors also lock behind you when you leave. She didn't see anybody in the courtyard, and she became very aware that she was not only locked outside of the building, but her partner was inside and alone. And in turn, she was outside alone. Her partner didn't know she was out there. Then it hit her. She exited, and there was no alarm sounding. She quickly ran around the side of the building and back in the front door. She went back to the person's room where she had left her partner. The resident was tucked back into bed, and her partner was gone. She headed down the hallway to look for her. She was walking back up the hallway with a coffee cup also in her hand. Odd, they had both found a coffee cup in the exact same place, but her partner didn't go outside. She was coming back to find her or call for more help because things were getting very scary. She explained that she heard her partner calling her to come and help. She didn't know that she had actually gone outside, and there would have been no way for her to hear her calling, even if she was calling. These buildings were old and made of brick. Sound did not travel from the outside. They both looked at each other at the same time and heard a growl so deep coming from the darkest part of the hallway, they both took off running for the nurse's station and locked themselves in the medication room. You have to have a key card to enter this room. They waited for a while and it seemed to be quiet, and then they heard it again, a low, growling noise just outside the door. They panicked and began to cry. By this time, maintenance from the building across the street had come to see what was going on. He was doing rounds at the other building and had seen the other nurse running outside when he came and found the two girls locked in the medication room in sheer panic. He did a sweep of the building and offered to stay with them until the day shift showed up. Nothing happened the rest of the night, not a sound. Both of them noticed, though, that by the end of this, the coffee cups that they were both carrying were gone and they could not find them. While I was reading about what exactly mimics are, which there are so many different stories, demons, bad spirits, mischievous things, I started to think about a time not actually that long ago. I think a mimic was actually maybe in my current home. I work from home quite a bit, and typically I'm only in the office 1 week a month. I have been at this job for about a year after leaving my nursing job. My family knows that I'm home, and they often stop in. This day I was running behind and needed to get ready to go out to our town fairgrounds. The fair was in town and I was meeting my daughter and my husband there. I had just gotten out of the shower and I heard the front door beep like somebody was putting in the code, which I'm unsure if a mimic can make those kinds of noises, but I am sure I heard it. Then I heard footsteps walking just like my dad, the exact same pace and the exact same heel strike. Being that the fair was in town, I expected him to be around, but I was just getting out of the shower, so I hadn't come out. I figured he would just call my husband and head down to the fair, but I didn't hear him call my name, I didn't hear him make a phone call, didn't hear him ask if I was busy. I only heard him take about 5 footsteps and then it was quiet. We do have front door cameras. I usually keep them off during the day when I am home, but I went to go and see if there was a vehicle in the driveway on this camera. There wasn't, and from how far he would have had to walk into our house and back out and down the stairs to the driveway, I likely would have seen his vehicle. He never parked on the street unless he had to. There was space for him right in the driveway. I asked my husband if he had heard from him when he was in town. He said he never did. I never heard from him, and when I asked if he was in town that day, he said he was at home. I had forgotten about this story until now. Can a mimic even make the same noise as a keypad on your door? And if I heard somebody walk in, why didn't I hear them leave? The stairs in the front are very loud, and the cameras are there. I could have seen them when I turned them on, but there was nothing there, and I never heard anything again. I was looking around on Reddit for some other creepy stories from other people about these mimics. I came across a story that was posted by Pomegranate Palace about 3 months ago. She was responding to some comments about other people that have seen mimics, and that somebody had asked if they had actually tried to go and chase these mimics or if they've seen them. Pomegranate Palace responded, "I didn't have a choice. It was bothering me for a while. I even chased the voice. One day while I was juicing, I heard it, psst, psst, at me. I had company and I thought maybe it was them talking to my cat. When I looked up, I saw it, peeking from behind the door. It looked like my friend who I was house sitting for, but her hands and her face were completely deranged looking. I ran out of the house and my friend was so confused and left shortly after. Things happening every night and all day, but this time I actually saw it." That is absolutely terrifying. On this same thread on Reddit, there's another post that comes from Sem Pop High about 3 months ago. They say, "Whatever is in my house just mimics sounds. Like my aunt arriving home with shopping, my limping footsteps with my cane, even the squeaking my slippers made. I thought it was a rat running around squeaking behind me. I got up to check and realized it was the exact same noise my slippers made. It's never done a voice. I feel like it's just poking fun at me, but I've never talked to it." Which makes me wonder if I did actually hear a mimicking the sound of my door being opened when somebody puts the code in. This post comes from Paranormal Striker 37, posted about 3 months ago. This encounter still freaks me out. I've been sensitive to the paranormal since I can remember, but I've learned to protect myself from the other side so well that when my defense slips slightly, it freaks me out. One time, I'm at work at my security job and was posted at one of the not-so-busy floors. So much so, I'm able to color my adult coloring book and not get into trouble for it. I'm humming a random song in my head, then literally out of thin air, I hear my name being called in a man's voice. It caused me to pop my head up, but when I automatically think a grade A mimic, I don't respond. I waited to hear if my name would be repeated, if someone was actually trying to get my attention. Nothing. Little hesitant, but I went back to my coloring. 4 minutes later, my name was called again, but this time in a woman's voice. I still didn't answer. I'm slightly shook by this point and waited to see if footsteps followed or if my name was going to be repeated, but nothing. By clock out, I asked staff members at the building if they had called me. Every last one said the same thing. Nope, sorry. I read up on mimics, and believe me, I'm glad I didn't respond. This excerpt comes from Wishbone Senior 5859, and they got this from the Encyclopedia of Ghosts and Spirits on page 78. The person goes on to say, I can't overstate the value of this book. I've had it for years and it contains a wealth of information. I am going to go look at this book right after I'm done this video. They go on to say that there are calling ghosts, ghosts of the dead spirits who call out to the names of the living to attract their attention and lure them to their death. Calling ghosts are rooted in the superstition that one should never answer the call of a stranger who knows your name and wants you to approach, for they could be a calling ghost in disguise. Rhubarb Flat 5684, about a year ago, she's also responding to what might happen if you respond to a mimic. She goes on to say, responding to a mimic lets it know you can hear it. It will continue to mimic in order to increase your anxiety, fear, annoyance, etc., thus making you a food source. They are a lower level entity and feed on negative energy. As someone suggested, continuing to respond to its invitation of sorts, though they can't physically harm you. Someone mentioned they yelled at one and it left. It makes perfect sense. Doing that sort of thing does show you acknowledge its presence, but you've also made it very clear that it's not invited to your space or presence. No spiritual entity may remain where it's not invited. I'm going to share a video that I found quite a long time ago on TikTok. I think it went quite viral for a while. And this is, I'm not even sure who posted the original post. It's been posted so many different times since then. It is the most scary video I've ever seen of what might be a mimic. I have a hard time watching it, but I want to put it in here just because it's just so spooky it has to be shared again. I do believe the person in the video is the original creator, and I apologize, I don't know the person's name, but this video just gives me the chills.
Are you there, honey? Open the door for mommy. Hello. Hello. Hello.
For me, the scariest part of that video is at the end with the growling. I'm sure it's the same for everybody who's watched it. I couldn't imagine being home alone and hearing a voice outside the door knowing nobody is home, and then hearing the growling just outside your door. It makes me wonder if that's the same growling that my friends had heard when they were working that night. Like and subscribe for more videos that we're going to put out weekly here on the Whisper Vault. See you soon.